Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk at Black Hat USA. Terry Sweeney here, contributing editor with Dark Reading, and joining me now is Josh Lemos, CISO with GitLab. Josh, thanks for joining us on the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
We are talking software security and making better use of AI. This is a timely topic, of course. Let's start just by talking a bit about how can AI help organizations make more secure software.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the need to disambiguate what we're calling AI because we've been applying machine learning to security problems for a very long time now.
Okay.
But the last year or two has really been about generative AI and large language models and how we use those technologies as applied to security problems. And I think software security is one of those areas that it's very uniquely suited for large language model use.
Okay.
Large language models are text-based, language-based, and we have source code that is basically language constructs, right? And so there's every part of the software development lifecycle that can generally benefit from AI.
So this lends itself well to large language modeling processing, yes?
Yeah, and we can really position it as developer plus AI, human plus computer. Where we're seeing a lot of benefit in software and software security is where a security practitioner or a developer already knows what they want, and they can do it faster, and AI really becomes an accelerant. We see that in vulnerability management, we see that in remediation cycles, we see that in security operations.
Okay, that's helpful. To get more to the heart of what I think you're here to talk about, though, is how DevSecOps teams are moving from the notorious shift-left mentality to something that you call shifting down, which uses AI to automate security out of the developers' workflows. That's my cursory understanding. Can we dig a little deeper and really peel back the layers here?
Sure. I maybe should have called that upshifting. I'm not a car guy. I probably should have talked about it being faster and higher velocity. But the point of it is that with AI, we can start to generate and automate away a lot of boring work. And some of that boring work can be things like generating test cases. So
okay.
If you have unit test coverage, you have some assurance that the code is doing what you want it to do. If you have integration test coverage, you know that when those two components talk to one another, you're getting what you expect. And how that benefits security is it allows you to move faster with security. So if you think about you have an issue in a software library, and that issue is automatically patched, it runs through the test suite, and that code is committed into a branch, and all that can happen with a higher velocity because a developer doesn't have to look at every step. They don't have to have the intimate knowledge. They don't have to work with the application security team to say, how do I fix this, right?
It sounds like it frees them up for, say higher tier, higher value functions in the development cycle.
Sure, your security engineering team, which is going to be much smaller than your software development team, can then go work on design reviews. They can start working on secure by design concepts, which puts security at the very front end of the development cycle, and the operational pieces are abstracted away to automation and to AI.
Is what you're describing, would this have been a potential way to have avoided, say, recent software issues that have plagued the nation's networks?
I don't think I can dive directly on that one.
Fair enough.
I think that better testing certainly benefits all software development teams, and the more you have a combination of runtime dynamic testing and static testing, the better assurance you have in releasing that software to your customer base and to your downstream consumers of that software.
Good answer to an impolitic question. Thanks for that. Data governance has become a hot topic as well due to just the increased interest in AI. It's raising all sorts of issues from a legal and ethical standpoint that I think we didn't really anticipate very well. Are there data management guardrails that organizations can use to ensure that they're not, say, compromising their data supply chains? I mean, this is a particular issue for the development world, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately I have a very boring answer to your question, which is it really comes back to security fundamentals.
Okay.
Right? when you have a strong data inventory and you have data governance at a base level that's built into your organizational structures, you can then understand your data flows, where it goes, and begin to govern that data. The problem is that in many, many cases, we don't know where data exists in our organizations, what it's used for, what the source of record is originally for that data. And so as it transits not only your environment, but into third parties, you lose that data lineage, you lose your governance over that data. So what I recommend to CISOs and to security practitioners in general is use the fundamentals that are there in place, whether that's embedding metadata with your data stores, making sure that your data is appropriately tagged and labeled with your third parties, and making sure you have run books. So as that data enters a third party, if that third party has an event, how do you deal with that?
Okay. With regard to data governance, this is something obviously that boards have begun to take a greater interest in because of the risk associated with it. Maybe more unsettling is legislators have also started to look more closely at data governance and certainly potential legislation with regard to how we interact with AI and what happens to the code and where that code comes from. There must be a way for developers to dance with all this. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, certainly as taking it back to AI and the code generation piece, which is where you get into some of those originality issues, some of those issues about data provenance. We take a very privacy-first approach at GitLab, so we've produced our privacy center, which tells you exactly what models we use when we generate code, how we use it, how we govern the data, what we retain, what we delete, the periods for which all of that occurs. And I would encourage CISO, security practitioners, engineers to look at what their vendors are doing with their data. What are they contractually obligated to do with that data? And do you have a testing protocol to ensure that that is exactly what happens?
Okay. As a CISO yourself, you're that liaison between the development community and your fellow CXOs. What is the CISO's responsibility both upstream and downstream where AI, software development, these kinds of issues are concerned?
Yeah, so I take your upstream portion of that question to mean the libraries you consume, the APIs you consume, your commercial contracts with outside vendors. And so I think that part of the equation is dealt with in terms of understanding your software composition, so what libraries you use, what assets you pull in, your commercial services that you use, and how you use those things. So really having a good understanding of what is your technology stack, and do you have plans for all of your upstream vendors should things go wrong, right? One thing that security teams can do is keep separate mirrors of their third-party libraries and repos and not automatically inherit. Make sure that they have some assurance into those third-party libraries before they just go pull them off of whatever ecosystem they're using for their software, whether that's a Python, Ruby,
Okay.
Go, et cetera. To take the downstream question, we all have responsibilities to take a secure by design approach. So for our customers, and that really comes down to transparency for us. You know, GitLab is the most public company. We put our handbook out there. We have a bug bounty program that's open to the public, and all of those things build trust with our customers so that when we do have an issue, we communicate out and say, this is what it is, this is how you fix it, this is the patch release where we are addressing that concern. And I think that level of transparency and our downstream customers understanding their risk with us is what strengthens our ecosystem.
Josh, take us out by saying a bit about what the additional technologies are that CISOs need to be ready to tackle this year outside of AI.
Is there anything outside of AI, Terry?
Not that I know. No, it's AI conquers all, right?
Yeah, I think that what we've seen this year is thinking about the resilience of our security systems, the efficacy of our security systems, and the technologies we do have, and how well those are instrumented, and do we have run books for when things go wrong? And so I think you're going to find a lot of CISOs talking this year about their responsibility to their organizations and the technologies they manage already. I don't see anything eclipsing AI just yet, but I don't have a crystal ball.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for joining us on the Dark Reading News Desk today. We appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with Josh Lemos, CISO of GitLab. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us.